welcome to this video. If you haven't yet, please subscribe, or if you don't want to, that's okay. Click that notification bell. If you don't want to, that's okay too. Today in this video, I'm going to explain how to get a job teaching English in China. There are many countries to where you can teach English. I've done it in South Korea. You could do it in Japan. There's Thailand. You can do it anywhere, even outside of Asia. But today, I'm going to talk about how to get a teaching job in China. So if you are considering teaching English in China, this is the video for you. First requirement is that you need to be from a native English-speaking country. Now, I know everyone has their opinion about that. I mean, I've traveled to Malaysia, and I've traveled to the Philippines, and almost everyone speaks English, and quite well. But, unfortunately, myself and we don't decide who is eligible to receive a visa to teach English. The Chinese government makes the final call on who is able to teach English legally in China. And in order to do so, the English-speaking countries are the United States, the United Kingdom, Australia, Canada, South Africa, New Zealand, and Ireland. So if you're from one of those 7 countries, you can legally teach English in China. As I stated, I've traveled to Malaysia, I've traveled to the Philippines. I know many people from India can speak English. People from France, people from all over the world can speak English very well, but unfortunately, for those people, it will be much harder to get a job teaching English in China. It is possible, and even in South Korea it's possible, but schools will reject you and your chances will be very slim. But hey, if you're in that category, it doesn't hurt to try, but I'm just being honest with you, it'll be very difficult, as schools will prefer to hire someone from one of the 7 countries because it's legal and it is much more simpler. Also understand that in the territory of teaching English, unfortunately, there are some politics involved. If you are Asian, if you look Asian, you can easily get a job teaching English, but many parents will get frustrated if you're Asian because they'll be thinking you can't speak English. That's not my opinion, but talk to people who've been experienced doing it and you will see that it's a common theme. So if you're Asian, understand many parents prefer their teachers to look a certain way. It's not just Asian people. If you are not white, understand you can get a job teaching English in China, but understand there are many job postings. Literally, the recruiter will state, we need a white person with blue eyes or blonde hair, and they have to sound a certain way, and that is the case. Also understand that many schools, if you're from South Africa or Australia, or you come from a country where people have a different accent, many schools, the principal will ask you to speak in an American or Canadian accent. I'm not joking. Because parents think that if you sound a certain way, they fear that their kids will not be able to understand you. As we all know, especially if you've traveled to different places, we all know that people speak English in a variety of accents, and it doesn't matter. But these parents are like that. Not all of them, many are, and ultimately, that's the way it is. So, you might be asked to speak in a certain accent, but also understand, if that's the case, don't accept a job like that. As kids need to know that the world's a big place with many different accents, but understand that these job postings about how you look and how you should be sounding are mostly for kindergartens and elementaries. So if you're looking to teach high school or above, don't worry about this. It's probably a rare chance. But if you're going to teach elementary or little ones, understand there is a chance this could happen. Everything I just said aside, putting it aside, first requirement is be from one of the 7 English-speaking countries. Second requirement is that you need a bachelor's degree in any field. Any degree that is beneath a bachelor's degree, like an associate's, is not going to be accepted. You need a bachelor's degree in any field. I have a bachelor's degree in communications with a minor in philosophy, and I've been teaching English abroad since 2019. So you can major in anything as long as you graduated with a bachelor's degree. You can teach English abroad legally. The next thing you need is a criminal background check. You'll find different videos online that you need an FBI background check. For South Korea, you need an FBI background check regardless of where you live in the country. But in China, every province is different. Some provinces require an FBI check. Other provinces just require a local police check. Where I am living right now, the province I'm in, I just needed a local police check. Obviously, the local police check should be where you're legally living, where your address is. It'll probably be better, but I just needed a local police check. So talk with your recruiter and see what he or she tells you. It's common sense, but I'll say it just in case you don't understand. Make sure the background check, whether it's FBI or local, is from your home country. So if you've lived abroad before, you don't need a background check from the country you taught in or worked in. You just need a background check from your native country. Everyone's experience is different. If you have no experience with teaching, zero experience teaching, then it's probably not a big deal because you'll probably get a job at a training center, which that's a conversation for another video, but to make it short, it's not really a school. It's just, think of it like a tutoring center. You're just working for a little business, helping students practice their English a little more. And in this case, you most likely will not need any references. So don't worry about references. I'm not speaking for all schools and all provinces. Perhaps it's different, but for where I was working, the school I'm working for and the province I'm working for, I was required to give 3 references to secure my visa. Now, I'm not talking about, oh, Blake is a great worker, he's so good and I recommend him. No, not that kind of reference. References I needed it's quite simple. Just a piece of paper, PDF file that proves I worked there with the stamp and seal of the school, proving I was employed by that school. So I had to have 3 of my employers from South Korea give me a reference letter. And once I got those reference letters, I was good to go for applying for my visa. So something you should do is make sure don't burn bridges with your employers, whether you're teaching English or just want to move ahead in life. Don't burn your bridges and make sure you get good references because you might need them later. And in this case, for teaching English in China, I definitely needed that. One more thing I'd like to add is if you want to work in a kindergarten, speak with your recruiter or do your own research. I'm not sure if a kindergarten requires references. Just wanted to put that out there. I would not recommend reaching out to any recruiters unless you have all your documents in order. Because a recruiter's main objective is to get paid, and they get paid by getting you a job. The mistake I made 5 years ago when I was seeking to teach English in South Korea was that when I started the process of reaching out to recruiters, I did not have all my documents, not even some of it. All I had was my passport. I got my job offer, but I didn't arrive in the country until 3 months later, and it was just an awkward process of hoping they don't cancel the contract, hoping they'll wait for me. So prevent that and have all your documents ready or most of them ready. So when you start reaching out to recruiters, they can be confident you're not wasting their time. Training centers and kindergartens hire year-round. So it doesn't matter whether it's February, March, November, it doesn't matter. Any time of the year, training centers and kindergartens are hiring year-round because they have a high turnover rate and they're always needing people. If you want to work for a school, whether it's a high school, public school, you have to keep in mind that the hiring seasons for those places are in March and in August because that's the start of the spring and fall semester. So if you are dead set on teaching at those places, wait until the beginning of the year or around the summertime, maybe a few months before, to start applying, reaching out to recruiters because that's when hiring season is heavy for those places. Make sure you have your documents. When I was seeking to teach English in South Korea and in China, it took about 2 months, a couple months, both times to get all your documents. So keep that in mind. Start early. So you're ready to start interviewing and applying. You have your documents and you are dead set on taking that leap. Well, you're probably thinking to yourself, how do I get a job? How can I apply? There are some ways. One way is through networking. If you know somebody from your home country who is teaching abroad in China and you're cool with that person and that person trusts you, you can reach out to that person and ask him or her to speak to their boss, to interview you, and they can hire you if you're lucky. So networking is a way to get a job. It doesn't matter if it's through a school, whether it's through a training center or at a kindergarten. Networking is a great way of getting a job, but keep in mind, you still need to be experienced because the last thing you want to do is burn a bridge with your friends, so keep that in mind as well. Another way, and a very common way, is through the internet. All you need to do is go to Google and type in Teach English in China. You will get a whole bunch of websites, different recruiting websites. The one I recommend is Dave's ESL Cafe. When I was teaching English in South Korea, I knew many teachers who used Dave's ESL Cafe. Whenever I would look for a job, 99% of the jobs I got was through Dave's ESL Cafe. This website has a bunch of job postings. They're very descriptive. It's usually straightforward and to the point about salary and the working conditions. And there are a lot of recruiters who use Dave's ESL Cafe. And the nice thing about Dave's ESL Cafe is you got schools on there. You got training centers on there if that's what you want. You've got kindergartens on there if that's what you want. Many other websites just do training centers. That's it. And the same applies for South Korea, which are called hagwons, but let's stick to China. But you get the point. Dave's ESL Cafe has more choices and it's reliable. There's always postings on there. I recommend Dave's ESL Cafe. The next way to get a job is exactly how I got a job in China. Do yourself a favor. Whether you teach English in China or whether you're working there doing something else, please download WeChat. My friend who is currently teaching English in China got me in a group on WeChat. Think of WhatsApp, think of Telegram, think of Kakao Talk for Korea. WeChat is just another messaging app where you can send texts and call people and do many things that you can do on Instagram or Facebook, make posts. You get the point. Download WeChat and you can get into groups. And my friend got me in touch with a group for hiring English teachers, jobs for English teachers. So I got in this group. There are always postings in this group, and that's how I got a job. I reached out to the recruiters in this group. The nice way about getting a job this way is that you can just text the recruiters directly, and it's very convenient. So that's how I got a job. Download WeChat, and perhaps you can find some groups that you can join and see what jobs are available and see if you're interested. So you want to teach English in China. You got your documents. You get interviewed for jobs. You get a contract offer. Obviously, make sure you're 200% sure. You sign the contract. Now, at this point, you have to submit your documents to the school. You could do it through faxing, or you could scan it to the email. You don't have to physically send it through the actual postal mail, but you submit your documents to your employer, usually a recruiter, perhaps an HR representative, perhaps the school directly. But you get the gist. You submit your documents to the school, and what they will do is apply for a work permit on your behalf. The visa process happens later, but in order to get a visa, you need a work permit. So the school is responsible for obtaining your work permit on your behalf. The school will take your contract that is signed, they will take your documents, and they will submit it to the local immigration. Keep in mind, in order to receive your work permit, it will take 2 to 3 weeks. It took me about 2.5 weeks, just under 3 weeks. But it will take 2 to 3 weeks to receive your work permit. Your employer will scan it to your email. When I was applying for my work permit, I had to wait a little longer because when I got hired, it was during the Chinese New Year, the Lunar New Year, which is a very special holiday in China, and I had to wait a little longer. So keep that in mind. If you get hired around a special holiday, it will be delayed a little bit because all the businesses are closed during this time. You get the point. Typically, it will take 2 to 3 weeks to receive your work permit. So you got your work permit. Now, it's not over yet. The school was responsible for your work permit. Now, it's up to you to get the process finished. You must get a Z visa. The Z visa is what allows you, whether you're an English teacher or work in another field, it allows you to work legally in China. So you are responsible for applying for the Z visa once you receive your work permit. When I was applying to teach English in South Korea, it was a lot easier to get a visa. All I did was get my documents, I submitted it to the recruiter, and the recruiter just walked me through everything. But I did everything on my own. So I was on my own on how to get the Z visa. And I decided to just hire an agent. It was expensive, I paid around $600, but it was easy because within a couple weeks I got my Z visa. I had to go on the Chinese embassy's website, and it was just all these requirements, and you have to do everything perfect. One little mistake, you gotta start the process all over again, and your visa application might be rejected. So for peace of mind, I hired an agent. So I'm not telling you who to hire. Do your own research. Hire an agent if that's what you want. I got my visa within 2 weeks. So I paid an agent, and that's what I did. Whether you hire an agent or whether you do it on your own or whether you're lucky enough to have someone walk you through it, which is likely if you go through an agency, you will have to do a lot of steps. You'll have to upload a lot of documents. You'll even need passport photos, which can be taken in many places. But you get the point. It's a very strict process. Make sure you don't make mistakes. So if you're doing it on your own, make sure you triple check, quadruple check everything to make sure everything is perfect. And if you hire an agent or if you have someone walking you through it, this person will make sure everything is good before they officially apply for the visa on your behalf. From other countries, I don't know what to do, but if you're from the United States, you need to go to the nearest Chinese consulate to apply for your Z visa and get fingerprinted. So the nearest consulate for me, since I'm from Florida, is all the way in Washington, D.C. So if you don't hire an agent, you'll have to go to Washington, D.C. and you'll have to go there to apply for the visa. Because I hired an agent, someone did it on my behalf. I sent my paperwork to this person, I sent my passport to this person went there on my behalf, I got my visa, my passport, and the person sent everything back to me. So if you choose to go through an agent, you don't have to go to the consulate. But if you want to do it on your own, you'll have to go. Regardless of whether you do it on your own or not, as long as everything's good, you should get your visa. And once you get the Z visa, you can go to China. Once you receive your visa, you're all set to go to China. Now, when I was going to teach English in South Korea, my first employer was generous enough to buy me a one-way ticket to go to Korea. But for China, in my case, the school and many of the places I interviewed with told me that they would not buy me a ticket. So I had to buy my own one-way ticket to China. The nice thing is that you should get this money back as long as you complete the contract. So talk with your future employer about this if you get a job offer for China. But I hope you found this video useful. China is a place where you can make good money, you can save a lot of money, and China is huge. You can see and explore many places, and you can even travel. You have easy access to many countries in Asia. So I recommend giving it a shot. If you doubt yourself, what's the worst that could happen? You don't like it, and you go back to your home country. But take the leap and teach English in China. You won't regret it, most likely, as long as you go with an open mind and you're wanting to respect and learn about the culture. And this applies for any country you go to. So I recommend give it a shot. Many people will think it's weird. We only have one life. Don't live for other people. If you want to teach English in China, take the leap. My wife loves it here. My son is going to be born here very soon, and I love it here. I enjoy it here. My life is good. So please consider it. And as always, thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe and please hit the notification bell so you see and hear and listen to future content. So anyway, have a great day wherever you're watching from, and I will see you later.